Hey everyone, and welcome to Girl Inside, a podcast which is basically what would happen if you let a random word generator just bounce back off itself and continually say things that seem related but sort of aren't, just in sort of an Ouroboros of randomness. That's what's going to happen. You're here with me, Hannah Darkling, and I am the aforementioned Ouroboros of randomness. Just inside my own head. I don't need two random word generators to bounce off each other. I just need me. And yeah, it's all about staying in because of the current situation, but also maybe doing a bit of self-reflection, going deep inside your own self while you've got the time to figure out, what's good. Miley, what's good? Wow, that just flagged something in my brain that I hadn't thought of in a while, which is how much people used to call me Hannah Montana. And then that just changed into being called Miley Cyrus. People used to call me Miley because my name was Hannah. And therefore, same. We were much too old. I was way out of high school when that show was at its peak of popularity. So I wasn't even watching it. No one who was calling me that was even watching that show. They just knew it existed. And there was a girl called Hannah Montana who was also Miley Cyrus. I think, is that the plot of Hannah Montana? Or is she just played by Miley Cyrus? Because in my head, I'm thinking, is that the plot of Lizzie McGuire? Of which, again, I haven't seen the TV show Lizzie McGuire. I missed out on all of the Disney Channel TV shows as a kid. We had the Disney Channel from, I don't know, I probably was quite young. My brothers were in high school. I might have been middle school. We got Foxtel and we would have had access to those shows. I just never watched them. But I saw the Lizzie McGuire movie in the cinema with my friends because they cared. And I was like, I don't want to be left at home alone. And I think that it's the same plot. Isn't it like Lizzie McGuire is also a singer? And then, or is that just the movie? And she's not actually her, it's just played by Hilary Duff and it's an Italian woman. How different are the storylines of Hannah Montana and Lizzie McGuire? I don't know. But reminding everybody of the most epic Vine ever. Well, actually, look, there's thousands of them. And TikTok, okay, it's fine. It's fine about it, but Vine was so much better. It was like, white girl, Disney Channel, name was Liz. And someone goes, Lizzie McGuire? And he's so stoned, he goes, Lizzie McGuire! It's hilarious. And I know that in the retelling, you find no joy, unless you know what I'm talking about. And I sort of don't care. No offense. But if you don't know it, I don't care that those, 45 seconds of me explaining that Vine was not fun for you, because it was great fun for me. Let's be real. That's why I'm making this podcast. It's less about making content to put out online, because if I was doing that seriously, I would have much more of a structure and much more of a consistency of output. It's clearly less about that, and it's much more about just try not to go mental, Hannah. Just find something to fill the time with that feels like kind of productive, busy work, even though it sort of doesn't really have any consequences if it doesn't go well. That's what this is. You guys know that, right? You guys know that I dearly love and care for anyone who is listening, but you don't matter. My concept when creating this, it's got nothing to do with the audience, which is so funny because so much of everything that I do in my job that I get paid for is about think about the audience, redirect to the audience. What is the audience getting from it? And to make content and be like, the audience is not irrelevant, but what the audience wants is a smaller percentage than what I want, which is the wrong way to go about creating stuff. But you know what? That's where we're at right now. We've been inside for like 9 weeks or something. I don't even know. I'm saying those numbers in some of these podcasts and then not editing them for 2 weeks and then chucking them up. And it's like, time means nothing anymore. Time's just wibbly wobbly. So who knows when you'll see this. Right now, I'm saying week 9 of isolation. This might not come out until Halloween. Let's be real. I did say that to someone today, though. I was like, at this point, I'm emotionally prepared to be inside until Halloween because, like, we don't know what's going to happen. And he was very scared by that. And then I was like, look, at least end of financial year, which is 2 months away. And he was like, that's still so long. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'd rather be inside for a long time than like go outside and get sick. I don't want that to happen for anybody. So I thought today I would actually explain to you what's going on behind me. So the angle's slightly diff today for the visual version of this, which I'm sure is where everybody's engaging with it, if they are. And you can see that I have a big armchair, which is, you can tell now that it's actually a white armchair. And the only reason I got it was because it was in the IKEA as-is section for like $80. And I wanted a big comfy armchair to sit in. But a white armchair cover is disgusting, and a secondhand white armchair cover is get out of here. So I've covered it with essentially a doona cover, just that I like the pattern of. And you can see that the facade is falling apart because it's coming off, and I just haven't tucked it back in properly because who cares? I'm like, who's going to see it? Says me filming it to put on the internet. Literally anyone who wants to see the inside of my office can see the inside of my office online. Probably also the inside of my bedroom as well. That's probably somewhere on Instagram. Who knows? But behind me there are coloured cardboard pieces stuck to the wall. And I'm not going to show you what they look like because that would involve moving the camera. And then it becomes a vlog. You know what I mean? And I am not about that life. I used to be, and I kind of miss it, to be honest. But it's so much more effortful than this. And to be honest, when I started quote unquote vlogging was when I went overseas for like 5 months, and I was like, I don't have money or space for souvenirs. So instead I'm going to vlog it. And really what I wanted was, I just want to be online and then I'll make friends from being online. Because that's what I was used to from fandom communities, was when you go online and put stuff out there, you make friends. I had stepped away from fandom communities and missed that, and was like, oh, so YouTube's the same thing. You can make friends by making YouTube. And that didn't end up happening. But when I did quote unquote vlog that holiday, I sat in hotel bathrooms with like just a bra on, like no t-shirt, and like set up the framing of it so you couldn't tell, quote unquote, or at least so you couldn't see my boobs, that you were just seeing the strap. But it was really obvious that I was wearing just a bra and sitting in hotel bathrooms on the floor. Usually my camera, which was my phone at the time, an iPhone 6, usually it was resting on the closed toilet seat because that was the only way I could get my face and the camera at a appropriate height. And I would just say like, today we were in this place, we went here, we did this. And that was me, quote unquote, vlogging my holiday. But because I was so consciously aware of people in the audience hadn't done what I'd done, I wouldn't say like where I went for lunch or, I don't know, I just didn't give that much information. And I don't know why, because I was like, oh, people will find this boring as an audience. But then I was doing it for me instead of keeping a travel diary. So now I look back on those videos and I'm like, where did we stay? What hotel was that? Oh my gosh, what? Like, even a hotel room tour vlogging would have been fine because then no one would see me, because I think that's why I wasn't vlogging in public, because I was embarrassed. And yeah, I could have just even done a room tour, and that visually would have brought back more memories for me, or just even listed the restaurants we went to or what I had for dinner, because either it's for me or it's not, or even if it's not, I had to enjoy making it. And watching back those videos, which is quote unquote for memories, it doesn't help me. And so basically this podcast is a return to my original YouTuber form, which was telling myself that it's vlogging, but actually it's just sitting in front of a camera and chatting shit. But now I'm doing it like unashamedly, as opposed to previously I was like trying to, I don't know, cut in clips of stuff I'd done that day. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Holy, that's a desilat. Oh, it's like tickles inside my face. But now when I do that, chatting to the camera, I'm doing it without shame, whereas previously I was really embarrassed, and I would cut in like clips that I'd filmed throughout the day as I was telling the story of the day. But because I was so embarrassed about filming in public, the clips were so subpar, and sometimes they were like just photos that I Ken Burns, because I was editing these on my iPhone 6 in iMovie. And I don't have any of the original clips at all anymore because I just had an iPhone 6. And so all of the videos that I was taking to then edit into a longer vlog were taking up space. And there was a day where I was like, I have to edit like 4 videos and export them and upload them right now and delete all of the files because I can't keep filming because I had no space left on my camera. It was lucky that I was on a Kentucky tour and we were spending 8 hours on a bus, so I could just headphones and just edit my own face for hours on end. Mind you, on most of those bus trips, I fell asleep. God, I really want to go back and kind of redo that vlog series almost, if it is just sitting and talking to the camera, and as soon as I can, because the longer I wait, the longer away it is, and the worse my memory will get, of like filling in those gaps. Like, where did we go to eat? And here are the photos that I took and posted on Facebook, but then I didn't include in the vlog for some reason. And maybe like steal some photos from some of my friends who were on the trip with me, just to like flesh out that story. One of my friends, though, Ash, amazing memory when it comes to literally everything from that trip. I will be, oh, where did we go to here? Or what was this about? Oh, what was this stop after such and such? She'll just be like, oh yeah, this is where we went. This is the town. This is what we had for lunch. This is what you had. We listened to this song in the car on the way, in the bus, whatever. She just knows every detail, and I don't know how she remembers it. I'm not sure if she kept a diary, but it's so impressive. And I want that. I want to have those memories because it was an amazing trip. I want to do like, go back, retell those stories in a cohesive and comprehensive way so that I have those memories, but then also do a version where I'm like, haha, now reflecting 5 years later or whatever it is, 4 years later, now reflecting on what it was like and who I was and some of the mistakes I made and things that I would change and things that I regret and boys that I should definitely not have kissed and some that I definitely should have kissed. Look, just that went in a place. We're thinking about him now and that's bad. Anyway, the point was I was going to tell you why I have these coloured kind of shapes behind me on the wall. And they are my pillars for the year. So at the beginning of the year, I decided I didn't want to set specific goals for myself because I did that in 2019 and none of them happened. I didn't go back to them at all because it was just a list and it felt like a list of failures. And at the end of the year, when I went to check in and was like, I didn't do this, I wrote down on one of them, join a choir. Like, really, bitch? Join a choir? I think what that was, and this is part of the thought process of creating pillars instead, which like isn't a new idea. Heaps of people have done it before. I'm not saying I'm coming up with it. I'm just sharing it with you because like it's my podcast. I can do what I want, It's my party. I can cry if I want to. One of the goals I put for 2019 was join a choir. And I think what was behind that was like, A, find a group of people that you belong to. And B, I want to be good at singing. And those two things connected, join a choir, sure. But actually, one of those is something that you can get better at a skill if you put hours in. But you're either good at something or you're not. And I'm not good at singing. So that kind of ruins the point of that goal. That half of it was never going to be fulfilled because joining a choir is about community, right? And what I wanted was a community. And I found that somewhere else. I found that when I started doing exercise classes. So like that is great. And that got fulfilled. But then I felt like a failure because I couldn't tick off joined a choir from my list. And then I was like, okay, well, out of these 10 or 11 goals that I set myself for the year, I did like 2.5 of them because I'm giving myself a half point because I didn't want to feel like such a failure. And I thought instead of that, which felt really negative and also didn't have a lot of introspection about like, what does this mean? What is this goal for? And what is it working towards? Like if I want to get better at singing, then write get better at singing. Don't write join a choir and go and engage with something that you just are not good at and then feel bad because you are the worst at that skill in a group of people. That seems like an insane thing to do for my mental health and for my, self-esteem. So the pillars are 6 things that I wanted to work towards this year and fill in as I went. So they are headings on 6 pieces of cardboard. And I would fill in as I did something throughout the year that took me half a step closer to any of those concepts. And I will share them with you. But part of the problem right now is that so many of them are, they are based a lot of, because that choir thing was how I broke down New Year's goals for Hannah are bad, because that's not how Hannah's brain works, and instead pillars are good. A lot of them are based around community, because that was so intrinsic to why I hated failing at that specific goal from 2019. So I am going to turn around, I'm going to read them to you now, and I'm going to say it in a really deep voice because I'm closer to the microphone. So number 1 is telling stories, and I think I've done a little bit of that. Number 2 is mentoring and development, and that is being a mentor, and that's sharing things with other people. So maybe some of these episodes of this podcast will get there at some point. Not just yet, mostly rambling, but at some point if I say something helpful, I'll put it on the list. Uplifting women's voices is one of them, not including my own. I mean, because I do that enough anyway. Moving out is one of them. I've written nothing on that list. I should write something on that list today. I have made a very strong financial milestone, so I should write that on the list. Number 5, learning new skills. Figuring out how to turn on my podcast microphone is probably one of them. It's empty right now. I should fill it in. And then the last one is building connections. Telling stories, mentoring and development, uplifting women's voices, moving out, learning new skills, building connections. I've only got about 4 things written down on all 6 of those, like together, 4 things on 6 of those pillars. So some of them are empty. But I will fill more in, because as I read them out, I was like, I've actually done a lot to do with a lot of those things recently. So yay, Hannah, yay me. But I think that that's a better way for my brain to engage with doing stuff. That way your goals, quote unquote, for the year can then become, as you do things, you fill out a list and it becomes a fuller archive, I guess, like a categorization of things that you've done that you are proud of and that work towards the things that you care about. And also then part of me is like, if my plate is really full and somebody approaches me and is like, hey, I've got this project I want you to work on. And I'm like, God, my plate is so full. I need to assess the things I'm doing within my life. Do they fulfill these pillars that I've decided are my focus for the year? And if this new project doesn't fulfill it, I don't take it on. And if it does, then I have to weigh up everything else I'm doing. Okay, what am I going to get rid of in that case? And, obviously some of them are slightly more important than others. Some for my personal mental health and some for just like my career. But that for me makes the most sense in how am I going about choosing what to do with my time. It is a little bit of a... I feel a little bit attacked sometimes by them, especially when I sit in this office and I have my laptop open and I'm like, I'm going to do work. Here's my list of things that I'm going to do today. And then I just watch YouTube for 4.5 hours because that feels productive, especially when you're watching TED Talks or something. I don't. I watch vlogs. Actually, I watch Bon Appetit Test Kitchen videos. But when you're watching YouTube, it kind of feels productive. It feels like you're learning, but you're actually not getting anything done. And I glance over and I see these colored cardboard next to me and I think, God damn it, past you. God damn it, Hannah, for having priorities and goals. I should be doing those things. So hopefully having them there will keep me on track. I mean, we've been doing a lot of sitting around the house doing nothing. When you go through a trauma, you kind of need that. And also this is opening up a whole heap of past traumas for me. Do you know, there's so much discussion about the reporting of domestic violence has gone down because anyone who's being abused isn't able to get out of the house. People who aren't going to schools aren't able to report to their teachers. So that conversation around domestic violence, and that's a lot. That's bringing up a lot of thoughts in my brain, a lot of physical reactions in my body to those types of things. And a few other things. So it's just a lot of thinking about stuff real hard. And I think that there's value in that. I think that you kind of have to go through some of the shitty, I wouldn't say reliving negative times, but certainly engaging with and assessing where you stand and unpacking those kind of traumas. There's value in that, but also sometimes it's like, cool, but I want to be able to go hang out with my friends and not think about it for just 2 hours. Just 2 hours. I don't even want to do it all day, every day. Just a few hours. But that ain't happening. And I feel as though the Zooms are, man, there's something about the Zooms and how performative they are, because you can see your own face, and I've started hiding my face when I'm on a Zoom. But then I get really worried that all of a sudden, I don't know, they can see something behind me that's like going to embarrass me, even though there's nothing that I'm embarrassed of in my office or my bedroom if I'm on a professional or personal Zoom. Like, I don't know what I'm embarrassed about, but then I get really worried. Just having the option to see yourself suddenly makes you so aware that other people can see you. So I try to hide it, but I'm super engaging with it. Also, that's part of why I don't look at the camera a lot when I'm filming this. My apologies if you think that that's rude, but if I look up here, I literally just look at myself in the viewfinder, and I hate that. So I kind of look off into the middle distance as I talk and I think, because I don't want to be constantly looking at my own face. I think that's so like, but I have to have it there to make sure that it's working, you know? So anyway, just really heavily engaging with my own face and my own voice. And I think that's bad for my mental health. And trying to spend more time on Zooms and catch up with people. But also sometimes that's real hard. Sometimes that's really hard. So I need an escape from my own brain is the answer. And I don't know how to do that. I'm not even leaving the house for like quote unquote essential reasons. Like I'm not going to the supermarket, really. My mum wants to do that, so she's doing that. So I'm not even leaving the house for like once a week reasons. Because all of my exercise is done on a Zoom with a class that I pay for. So I'm like not even really going for a walk. I thought about it the other day, and more than anything, what I want to do is get out my roller skates, which I bought, I think it was like $50 or $60. So not super expensive, but like probably for what I use them for, expensive. But if you were going to use them every day, not that expensive. And they're dress up roller skates that have like hot pink wheels, but they're white. And then in the side, they have a star which flashes rainbow. Because of course I did. I bought them for like an 80s dress up party, wore them drunk, moved up and down an escalator in them, could have died, but totally didn't, because honestly, something happens when I'm drunk. My hand-eye coordination gets better. It's like that Sam Vimes thing from the Discworld. If you guys have read Terry Pratchett, Sam Vimes is like starts one drink under. So he's not an alcoholic. He just has to have one drink to like level himself out. And I don't think that about myself. And I think that's kind of a funny thing that alcoholics do say about themselves. But sometimes I think after 2 or 3 drinks and you get amazing at pool and you're like, how do I get this level all the time without the alcohol? Because I don't want to be drunk all the time. But how do I become this level of just savvy throughout the world? But I wore those roller skates, wore them once for the party, and have never worn them again. And I was like, I want to get them out and like go roller skate around the local park. I don't have wrist guards, and that's a problem for a lot of women, young women, is that when you fall, you put your hands out and your wrists out and they break because your wrists are too supple. And so I'm afraid of that. So I need to get like wrist guards, knee guards, elbow pads, a helmet, because the only helmet I have would be like a bike riding helmet. It doesn't look good. But regardless of that, I'm not going to buy it because I'm not going to go out on roller skates. But I'm like, I want to do that. That's what I want more than anything right now, is just to become like a go-go dancer in roller skates, like in a cage, but just for fun, not for sexual objectification reasons, because like that's what a go-go dancer really is. But I just want to do it like for myself, out on the road, just being really cool on roller skates. I follow an Instagram account that's like girls who skate about female skateboarders, which is cool to watch. But I'm like, I am never going to be good at skateboarding. I want to be that good roller skating. Not blading, roller skating. Something about like Venice Beach, Daisy Dukes. I don't know. There's something about it. I want to be that girl. I want to be that girl, but I'm not that girl. And also I'm not allowed outside the house legally. So we'll just see what happens about me leaving the house ever to do just like basic exercise. Because I think that's a legitimate reason to go for a morning walk every day, but I'm not even really doing that, partly because I'm sleeping until midday. Today I did not, though. I set an alarm. We're changing our lives. We're getting better. We are putting structure back into our lives because I started sharing a lot of information. I run a website and do the social media for that website, and started sharing a lot of stuff about like positivity and getting through this rough time and for that, some of it just came from my brain because I've been going to therapy for years. So I kind of just have some coping mechanisms that I know and can pass on. And some of it I did a bit of research because I want to be putting accurate information out there because I feel responsible for the things that I put out under a brand. So yeah, doing a lot of kind of thinking about coping through this time. And I was like, I am doing none of these. I'm sending this out into the universe to try to help other people. And I'm doing none of it for me. And I read a tweet the other day. I probably saved it somewhere. It was like, loving somebody is doing the hard things. It's not all fun and passion. It's doing the things that you don't want to do because you love them. And part of me is like, cool, well, if that's what self-love also is doing the shitty things that you don't want to do, like having that shower or like cleaning your room or making yourself get that task done because otherwise you're not getting anything done. And caring about yourself enough and your future self and the better version of yourself that you are aspiring to be to do the hard things. And yeah, I guess I've been trying to do that lately. I don't know. What did we even talk about today? It's been so many minutes and it's almost over. And I've been doing this sort of voice a lot. We had a potato that my mum washed aggressively. And I think she took off too much of the skin. And then she didn't end up using it and just left it on the side in our kitchen. And because the skin was like kind of broken open or something, it just shriveled. And it was this sad little potato. Did I say mushroom? I meant potato. It was a sad little potato. And I just was doing this just sort of voice with this sort of whistle in it. And I can't stop doing it now. So that's where we're at, is we are doing a funny voice. We spoke about going on holidays, memories, goals for the year, trying to get some of them done, and I don't know how to do that in isolation. Maybe that's my next thing. And then we talked about God knows what else. I hope something was useful for you. I hope that maybe me sharing this ramble is either entertaining, but also that you're taking some kind of lesson. Do I say anything useful ever? I'll tell myself yes, and that will be enough. Because as we said, this is kind of for me. But thank you guys for spending this time with me. I hope you are doing really well. I hope that you are putting yourself and your mental and physical health first. Physical health primes your body for good mental health. And you're a babe. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye.